Hi y'all, this is So Blessed. Welcome to the Blessed Place. How y'all doing? Thank y'all for being a part of the Blessed Place. Today I'm talking to, as you can see, the new brides. If you're not a new bride, I welcome you to stay. Maybe one day you will be a new bride. Or if you are a more seasoned bride, maybe perhaps you're making some of these mistakes still in your marriage, as am I. And maybe it will help you even in your more seasoned marriage. So all are welcome to stay. Even the men, you're welcome to stay. But I'm talking to specifically to the new brides. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. I'm gonna lay them out for you and give you a little story, a little example of how I made these mistakes. Number one, communication is key. If you ever watch my relationship videos, you'll know that communication is a running theme in my relationship advice. Communication is key, and I'm going to tell you how I made a mistake with, or many mistakes when it came to communication, but I'll give you one good example. Y'all, one day I felt compelled. Y'all know I don't cook, and I never really cooked. I never even cooked back in the day either. And okay, first of all, those of you who are new to the Blessed Place, I've been married 10 years. So y'all, this was within the first year of our marriage. I cooked this pork roast thingy that looked absolutely awful. I don't know if you ever seen, I think it's pork roast or something. It comes like in this little sealed packet, like a log. So y'all, I cooked this and I slaved over the stove half the day, because y'all know the struggle is real, and it was real back then too. It was even more real back then. So I slave over the stove, y'all, for hours. My husband's at work. He comes in from work, and I'm standing at the stove cooking, and he comes in, he kisses me, and he's, "Oh, hey baby, how you do? Oh, you cook. Something smells good." He opens up the pot and he looks at this pork roast monstrosity, atrocity of a meal, and it looks horrible. Like I say, I'm sure it tastes good, but, well, I don't know if it tastes good or not, but it looked horrible. He looks in the pot and he says, y'all, this is what he says immediately. I think I'm getting off pork. I'm getting off pork for a while, because it's not good for me. Y'all, then he left and he went to go in the shower. Y'all, while he was in the shower, I boo-hoo cried. But when I heard the shower getting turned off, I wiped my eyes and, went on about my business. I threw the pot roast away, and he was like, "Baby, you threw it away?" And I was like, I was trying to keep calm. And I was like, "Yeah, you say you didn't want none, and I don't want any," because I was thinking, I don't want to eat it. It looks gross to me. Y'all, but that night, when we went to bed, we're cuddled, we're spooning, and I was crying. I was trying not to, do the heave ho, and I was trying not to do the sniffles. So I cried silently. I was trying so hard to keep it in and cry silently. And eventually my husband could tell, because we were hugged up and spooning, and he could, I couldn't no longer hold the heaves. And about the third, he turned on the light, because it's dark in the room. He turned on the light. He said, "Baby, turn around." And he could see, y'all, my eyes were puffy, my face was puffy, my nose puffy. He was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Nothing." He was like, "No, something's wrong." And y'all, it took about 5 or 6 "what's wrong?" And I tried to cook you a meal, and you decided the day of all days you don't eat pork no more. Y'all, that's just one example of the many times that I did not want to communicate with my husband, because you gotta know that I came from, first of all, a strong mother who, in all of my 49 years, I think I've seen my mom cry 3 times in 49 years. Also, too, I'm a very, strong, independent, prideful woman, and I didn't want my new husband to know, he knew me for my sass and my independence and being a strong woman, but still with the soft, vulnerable side. But that's how he knew me, and I didn't want him to know that you got a wife who crying over the pork roast. But don't make that mistake. Communicate with your husband. Let him see your vulnerabilities. Number 2, trust your mate. If he is not giving you any reason to distrust him, then trust your mate. Another story. I'm going to try to condense these stories. But in the genesis of our marriage, probably within the first year or so, because most of these mistakes came within the first year or two, and some of them I'm still making, and I'll get to those. But my husband was invited to a bachelor party, his co-workers, and then they also asked him to be the designated driver because they know he doesn't drink. So my husband goes to this bachelor party. Okay, before he goes to this bachelor party, mind you, my husband is new to the area. You know, he's been in the area about a year because he was born and raised about 3.5 hours from here. So he asked me originally, baby, do you know where this place is, where this VFW place is? And I found it and said, yeah, this is the address. So mind you, that's important to the story because that's the only reason I know where this bachelor party was, because he originally needed directions. Okay, fast forward. He goes to the bachelor party. I'm at work, I'm at my job, and he's at this bachelor party, and he's, to me, I say out of pocket. Now, I know he was at a bachelor party, but you gotta know my husband. We affectionately in my family call him a stalker because he stalks me even to this day. He calls me all the time. So when you get to know your husband's pattern or your spouse's pattern, you know when they're out of pocket. So my husband hadn't called me, you know, for a couple of hours. So I started to get a little worried, a little curious. And so I started calling him and I couldn't reach him. About the 6th or 7th phone call of me trying to reach him and him not answering, at work I told my supervisor I had to go. I told my supervisor that I was the supervisor, but there was another supervisor on the floor. So I told one of my fellow supervisors that I was not feeling well and I had to go. And I was not lying, y'all, because I was sick in my stomach because I did not know what was going on with my husband. You got to remember, I'm in the first year infancy of our marriage. I drive to this place because I remember he had previously asked me how to get there. I drive there, and right when I get there near the front parking area, my husband calls me back. He's like, yeah, you've been trying to reach me? And I could tell it's like I could hear a hollow sound. I was like, yeah, I've been trying to reach you. I haven't heard from you, and you haven't answered my calls. And he's like, I'm in the bathroom, you know, right now. He's because I didn't hear your calls. I'm at a bachelor party. I said, well, come outside. He's like, come outside. And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah, come outside. He's like, outside? What do you mean you outside? What are you doing outside? I said, do you want me to come in there? Big black, I mean, I didn't tell him this, but I'm like, 6'2", big black woman with my uniform because I work for police department or sheriff's office, so I have a uniform on. With my uniform on, do you want me to come up in there? He's like, no, I'll be out. So he came outside. So y'all, okay, the rest is a whole nother story. But my husband never gave me any reason, even in the infancy of our marriage, he did not give me any reason to warrant me getting all worried and scared. But, you know, all I saw was some hooker or some dancer or somebody who had danced out of her clothes and was giving my husband lap dance. Or, okay, I ain't gonna tell you what I told my husband, what I thought was going on. But use your imagination. So was giving him like a special little gift. That's what I had imagined. See, your imagination will just run. Fear and imagination, they should not run together. They are deadly. That's a deadly couple right there, fear and imagination. So because of my fear of being cheated on, because I had been cheated on a couple of times in the past, and my imagination had run wild, that I saw all kinds of things were going on that were not, and my husband never gave me any reason to even imagine those things. Trust. If your mate has not given you any reason to distrust them, don't make that mistake, new brides, of distrusting your mate for no good reason. Number 3, my way is the only way and the right way. Y'all, that was one of my biggest mistakes that I made as a new bride. Because, of course, what did I do? I came into the marriage with what I knew and what I had been taught. So my way For instance, we'll just take folding clothes. The way I fold clothes and my husband fold clothes totally different. And I was telling him in the infancy of our marriage that he was folding clothes the wrong way. And he said, my mama, I said, because mom, this is the way my mama taught me. He said, well, this is the way my mama taught me. So you saying your mom taught you a better way than my mom taught me? Even as far as changing our bed linen, from day one up until right now, we change our bed linen together. And I originally was just trying to instruct him in every little bit, telling him that he was doing it wrong. That's not the way you change bed linen. That's not the way you tuck. That's not the way. And we have just come to a happy medium that on his side of the bed, he tucks the way he wants to. On my side of the bed, I tuck the way I want to, the way I was taught. But there is more than just your way. Your way is not the only way just because you were taught that way. Number 4, new brides, don't make this mistake. You got what you got, and it is what it is. What I mean by that, my husband, so many things I was trying to change in him. And eventually I had to realize, and I'm still learning 10 years later, that I got what I got, and it is what it is. Just a few examples. My husband, y'all, is not a dresser. Or what I mean is, he is not a snazzy dresser. He doesn't dress the way I imagined my husband to dress. Y'all ladies, y'all know we have this idea in our head how we want him to look, how we want him to dress, how we want him to smell, how we want him to act, the income we want him to make. We already have those things in mind. And when we don't get exactly that, we try to force our husbands to be what we had already imagined. And in my mind, my husband was going to be about 6'4". I'm 6'2", and y'all know I love heels. So in my mind, he was going to be 6'4". My husband was about 5'9". Also too, my husband, like I said, doesn't dress. In my mind, I have this way that I imagine my husband to dress. And no matter how much I try to make my husband fit into that peg, to fit into that hole that I had already imagined, it's not working. I mean, he has great hygiene, he dresses decent, but he doesn't dress the way I had imagined him to dress. It is what it is. I got what I got, and it is what it is. Number 5, new brides. Don't make this mistake, trying to please everybody. What I mean by that is, when you first get married, you're probably going to be pulled in many different directions. If you were close with your family, they're going to miss you. And they may make certain comments about, oh, now you're married and we don't see you as much, or we miss you, or you mean you all not coming over to spend the holiday with us? Or perhaps you're coming into the marriage with a blended family and you feel pulled and torn because you don't want your child or children to feel abandoned, but yet you're trying to make sure that your husband know that he is important. You can't please everybody. You just got to do your best and try to prioritize. And in your marriage, your husband is your priority. Oh, I know some people gonna have some problems with that one because they want to think that their children are their priority. Now, by all means, I don't mean that you forget your children or that you push your children aside. No, there's enough love in your heart, and there's enough guidance from God. God said he will order your footsteps. That there's enough love in your heart and enough guidance from God that you will be able to love both and give attention to both. But your husband is your priority. So stop trying to please everybody. Stop trying to please your family. Stop trying to please your kids. Your priority is to your husband. That's your first priority. God and your husband. And when you please God and your husband, take good care of your children. Give them, that special time, reassuring them that you have not forgotten them, but it will work out. Just don't stress yourself. Those are my 5 pieces of advice for new brides, not to make the same mistakes that I made. But wait, there's one more. There's a bonus. I always like to give a bonus. And this is a big one. New brides, forgive yourself for all mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. We are not perfect. We are not perfect. Our husbands are not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And you need to forgive yourself of those mistakes. I'll give you a little example of that before we go. I asked my husband one time earlier in our marriage to do something, and he didn't do it, or he wouldn't do it. I can't remember because it was so long ago. But I was so spoiled where he did it. Anything I asked, he did it for me. And if I asked him 100 things, he did 99. And that one time, just like when you have spoiled kids, when that one time out of 99, that one time out of 100 that he didn't do it, I told him, I don't need you. Y'all, to this day, I regret saying that. I did not mean I don't need him as a husband. What I meant was, I don't need you to do this particular thing for me because I can take care of it myself. And to this day, even though I said that maybe 8-9 years ago, I regret saying it. But I had to learn to forgive myself for making the mistake of saying that, because I never want my husband to think that I don't need him, because I do. Okay, I hope this helps somebody. I hope this blesses someone, because my heart is for women knowing their self-worth, knowing their value, dating well, and marrying the man that you desire and you deserve, because you deserve to be blessed and to be happy. Love y'all. Y'all be blessed.